another Black Thought Live. We're doing something different right here. We're down at the Reporter newspaper. Don't forget to check out the Reporter newspaperonline.com. We do it every Tuesday. And also don't forget, let me grab this, the tangible form, which is very important. You got that, brother?
Got it.
Yeah. The tangible form, which is the real newspaper. It's still out in the community. You guys, if you see it, pick it up, tell somebody, and let everybody know that we're still out here making a difference in the community. Like I always say, bro, you also want to support the people that's supporting you.
That's right.
And this newspaper been doing it for so long, so we definitely want to continue to show love, show support to the people that's showing love and support to us. Now, speaking about the online presence, brother, you know we're online, right?
Yes, I do.
So we're doing it real big online.
Yes,
we want to tell somebody, if you see any articles flying up and down your timeline, don't forget to like, share, and let somebody know that it's going down here in Akron, Ohio.
Yes,
but
sir.
Speaking about going down,
all right,
here in Akron, Ohio, like I said, this is another Black Thought, and you guys know what it's about. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. I got the man, a brother who I respect a whole bunch. And first off, I am proud, happy, excited that the man, the mystery, the myth is in the physical with Brother HIram Akeem. This is Pastor Ukali White,
yes, sir.
One of the non-compromising Christian pastors that I like to deal with and build with. Yes, I call this my Christian pastor right here. If I was ever to have one, I guess I got one.
Okay.
I've been saying this for years, right?
I'll be that.
That's right. So listen, man, I saw you doing some things. First off, tell everybody who you are and what you're about.
My name is Ukali White, as Brother HIram has said. I am a pastor, and I'm excited about just being able to do some work within the body of Christ, the church. Not just in the building, but out here on the one-on-one, out here in the community, just making a difference, impacting people, giving people the truth. Many are familiar with the scripture that you will know the truth and the truth will set you free, and that's what it's all about. I got a ministry called Go Represent. It's more than a ministry, it's a movement. Go Represent is all about inspiring, motivating, and educating people to first of all, understand that we were created by God to represent Him. And that's what it's all about. It's a Go Represent movement to help people to get out there, represent Christ in their family first, but also in the culture, and get the truth out there. That's what changes minds, and when minds are changed in a positive way, lives are changed. So that's what it's all about. And
that's why this is my man. Check this out. Again, the name of the show is Black Thought Live. We're doing it a little different. I know people are like, wait a minute. It looks kind of different. Y'all ain't at the sack and everything. Well, we at the Reporter newspaper right now, like I said off top. My cameraman is doing this thing right now. He's on sabbatical.
Okay.
So we figured we do some behind the scenes, a little more intimate things, and build this way. I call this the study desk. We doing a cipher right now.
Okay.
And speaking about the cipher, my man brought some books, some goodies to the cipher. Before we even talk about the subject matter, let's talk about just describe the books real quick.
Well, first of all, I want to definitely put this one out there for everybody to see. It's called The New Jim Crow. Some are familiar with it. It's by the author Michelle Alexander. It's an incredible read, eye-opening, full of truth, full of statistics, full of information that not every black man or brown-skinned person of color needs to read, but even those who are fair-skinned, or as many know them as white people, they would do well in reading this book. And really the crux of it is exactly what it says. We know about the old Jim Crow laws. It's the new Jim Crow laws, and it's based on mass incarceration in the age of colorblindness. So one more time, the new Jim Crow. This speaks to why we're dealing with so many of the issues of injustice within the black community today. I got another resource here. This one here is more of a Christian resource, but it's still one that would do well for any and everybody to read this. It's called Darwin's Plantation, Evolution's Racist Roots. Darwin's Plantation, and it's by the author Ken Ham and Charles Ware. And what this book is talking about is the lie of the theory of evolution, and how that plays into the race terminology today, that there are different races within the human race. There's really only one race. But Charles Darwin, theory of evolution, he talked about favored races, and unfortunately always said that the fair skin or white race is the favored race, and all the darker skinned races are down somewhere underneath the ones who would be considered favored. But we know that's a lie. It's not the truth, and that's why it's called Darwin's Plantation, Evolution's Racist Roots. I got one other book. It's called The Tower of Babel. Excellent read. Another Christian author by the name of Bro Hodge, and he's really taking humanity. He's taking the where humanity, all of the nations, all of the people groups came from, and right there on the plain of Shinar in present-day Iraq, where the Tower of Babel was built. And he does a great job talking about how the nations and the people groups, they were all one there, all had one language. But because they were doing their own thing instead of what God told them to do, God confused the languages and they were dispersed. And after the dispersion, that's where you get the different nations, people groups. That's where you get certain. That's where you get a lot of the diversity that we see today.
Okay. Well, check this out. I saw my man's. I'm talking to you guys, but I need to be talking to you.
Yes, sir.
I saw your style. Your Facebook study group style.
Yes, sir.
I thought that was fantastic. I said, look at my brother back out here in the wilderness waking up folks. I was like, about time technology finally caught up with the mobile minister.
Yes, sir.
That's what I call it, the mobile minister.
Mobile minister.
Right. So my man was doing his thing. So I said, now he was talking about race. That was the subject matter of his situation. Race. One of the things you said in your rant, your lecture, your diatribe,
right.
I'm just going on.
Sure.
And the knowledge you were dropping was, as a Christian, you believe the first two people on earth was Adam and Eve.
Right.
Right. And then you said, during the whole Adam and Eve story, there was no, in the Bible, there's no, the term race is never brought up. Right.
Never.
Then you said, okay, after Adam and Eve, Noah popped in and his family
after the flood,
and I was, and then civilization started from that as well,
right?
And it still wasn't talked about a race.
Race was not talked about.
So I said, oh, hold on, brother. I gotta pick up this phone literally and call my brother.
Okay.
And maybe he can break it down for me because I'm of a different mindset, differently when it comes to race. Now, first off, my question is, before we get into my questions,
okay,
I want you to tell folks why you think it's imperative and important why we don't even use the term race. Break that down before I can even go into my question, because people need to know your teaching on that. I think it's incredible.
I'd love to. First and foremost, as Brother Hiram has already said, I'm a follower of Christ. I'm a believer. I'm a Christian. I don't really like using that term Christian, but that's neither here nor there, because I think it's been watered down. But in the first 11 chapters, chapter 1 through chapter 11 in the book of Genesis, we see the creation of the universe, the creation of everything on this earth, the creation of humanity. And as humanity was brought forth, one man, one woman, we read in Scripture, Adam and Eve, it never, as they began to have children, it never spoke of their children as being of different races or different, races of people. No, it just spoke of family. It spoke of them producing people groups coming out of the families, and then people groups. And then, as you had already alluded to, as humanity began to grow, and unfortunately wickedness began to spread.
Right.
There was a flood, and that wiped out everybody but 8 people. Noah and his wife and his 3 sons and their wives. The term race, again, is not. It's not a biblical term. It's not something that it's not based on any biological or anthropological, no scientific fact. Race was simply a social construct that was brought up. Really, it began to become popular in the 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, of course, during the time of slavery, the Atlantic slave trade, and it was used to divide.
Okay.
It was used to actually prop up the lighter-skinned people groups as being better than the brown-skinned people groups.
So when you say people groups, people groups is that just another clever way of saying I denounce the word race and we're going to use people groups instead?
Right, because when you think about it, race, and it was talked about in the 1600s, the terms black and white.
Right.
But it was really made popular in the 1800s by Charles Darwin, an evolutionary. He had an evolutionary theory where, from molecules to man, from the amoeba, from the thing that climbed out of the water to man. Right. Now, I don't hold to that. I'm a believer. I believe it didn't take God, that process. God literally created man. But when he came up with his concept of race, again, he talked about those who are favored. Certain races were favored over another. Well, that whole term, the term race, simply, what it does is it talks about that. It's used in that way to divide, to separate, to put one over the other. That's why I never use it. I go with people groups. I go with nations.
And you go with the human
race.
Right,
yes,
that's what you said. And trust me, I studied you, bro.
All right.
So listen, man. So when you was breaking down the Adam and Eve story,
yes,
and you was breaking down the Noah story,
yes, sir,
right? You said again in biblical scripture, the term race was not mentioned.
Never mentioned.
I'm gonna propose something.
Okay.
Wow, I believe the reason why race was not mentioned is because there was only one race there.
Of course.
There was only one family.
That's obvious.
One family was there, you know what I'm saying? And they represent one family.
That's right.
So whether or not we want to call that family the human family.
The human family. I love it.
More likely, I'm pretty sure it was of the Nubian persuasion.
Brown skin. Yes,
right.
Sir.
So there's at that point in time, there's no need to say the specific group of people because they're all coming from the same family according to the doctrine that you're saying, right?
Right.
So why would we not acknowledge? And I see you do, but why do we not aggressively acknowledge that those people were black people? Because you said today that they wasn't black as you and I.
As we consider.
Right,
black.
as we consider black.
Right.
That's what you said.
Yes, sir.
And you also said that we all are capable of making the Ukali whites, the Hiram Akeem.
We're going to produce after our people group.
So if those were our people who God entrusted some great responsibility with,
yes, sir.
In Christianity, it kills me sometimes that I think by separating us from them, it denounced some of our great responsibility as a people that we had, but more importantly, some of the responsibilities that we did. It kind of belittles our legacy a little bit. Sure. What do you got to say about the people that thinks like that? Like, wait a minute, those were black. Those were African descent. Period. Those were melanated people.
Yes.
So what do you got to say?
I love that because now you're getting into, again, the foundation of humanity. The first two people were brown skin, or we'll say black, because they could have been as brown as you. They could have been as brown as me. You know, I'm just a couple shades lighter. You know, look at our hair texture. You may not be able to see it on the video. And I don't have real curly hair. I have tight curly hair. My hair is what would be called kinky. Maybe your hair, you know, I'm not trying to classify yours. Yours is kind of tight curly. Maybe it'd be classified as kinky.
Mine's nappy.
Nappy. Yeah. Kinky, nappy.
Happy to be nappy.
Happy to be nappy. But the point that I want to make is this. When Adam and Eve were created, of course they were brown-skinned people. And of course they had thick hair. Was it exactly like ours? I wasn't there. I don't know that. But what I do know is their texture of hair, their color of skin, and all their physical attributes, within them, it produced everybody that we see today. It's the reason why we get from the lightest to the darkest of shade. But one thing we do know, the first two people were not simply fair-skinned or white people. Why? Because you cannot get brown, melanated skin, all the melanin that we have, you can't get it from DNA that lacks melanin, the amount of melanin.
You can't get no numbers from a void.
Right, you cannot get numbers from a void. You cannot get melanin, the amount that we have, from those who do not have it. I like, in my video that Brother Hiram referenced, I used the terminology, and this was my little way of trying to explain genetics. Fair skin would be little a, little b, little b.
Right.
Dark skin would be capital A, capital A, capital B, capital B. So you got your spectrum.
Right.
Now, to be able to produce the entire spectrum, capital A, capital B, little b,
right,
mates with the same.
Right.
So now you get the entire spectrum. What I believe, and what, like I said, what we've seen in books like the Tower of Babel, even again, just another plug, Darwin's Plantation, is we have authors, and they're coming from a Christian perspective, they're saying that Adam and Eve had to be a middle brown. And they had to have hair, maybe not as thick as ours, definitely curly, maybe not as thick as ours, because that's the only way to produce that straight hair could somehow come out of them. That fair skin could somehow come out of them. So, but the bottom line is, if brown-skinned people were the first two people and they were producing other brown-skinned people, then we have to get credit for a lot of the things that were created. A lot of the structures that were
Yes,
built, a lot, and a lot of the just the things that were created and that were produced throughout humanity. Unfortunately, you got one people group, the fair-skinned people group, want to take credit for everything.
Right.
But then we're doing our research, we're doing our study, and we're finding out that, wait a minute, some brown-skinned people had a lot to do with impacting the world. Not just a local scale, but a global scale.
Let me hit you with this. We do, as a Christian, as a non-compromising believer.
Exactly.
That's why I like talking to you. Do you not adhere to science?
You better believe I adhere to science.
Okay, so if we know that civilization walked up out of Africa, the continent Africa, some people believe Asia. Well, that's when all the planets, all the continents were stuck together.
Sure.
They call it the Asia philosophies. It's a lot of different other names for it. But civilization was created in the bosom of Africa. That's science, right? And I can go here with, I'm going to propose this.
Okay.
Okay, if God said, let's make man in our own image and our own likeness, coming from a Christian, you said that.
That's right. Genesis
And he
chapter
made,
1,
and
verse
he made,
26.
and the first people to your liking was black.
Yes, you better believe it.
So the question is, I want to know, and you ain't got to answer it today. What do God look like? Don't answer that.
What does God look like?
Don't answer that.
Don't answer
No, but
I'd love to answer it.
I know, but
that might be
we
fun
do that
to
on
show.
the next one, right? But that's my point. From what
Okay.
you taught me listening to you today, you said God created man in his own image and in his own likeness.
Yes, sir.
Then you said Adam and Eve were the first people on the earth.
And they
You
were
described them as
brown-skinned
Nubians,
or
right?
Nubian, black, right.
Okay, then what do God look like? Okay, that's neither here nor there. But listen, man, we go on and on. But before we close and getting deep, I like to make this word and this knowledge practical in today's society.
Okay.
What's happening with my man that lost his life on the road?
Mr. Crutcher.
Yeah,
Terrence Crutcher.
Terrence Crutcher. That's ridiculous, brother.
It is.
That's ridiculous. This brother on his way home from school and lost his life. I think
Because his car stopped.
I think Europeans that have badges are conditioned out of fear and hatred.
Yes, sir.
And I believe her walking up to this dude saying, oh my God, he's spooky or whatever the hell she said. What's so spooky about a dude whose car stopped? And there's nothing spooky about that for me and you. But coming from your place of seeing it from your Christian perspective, and I gotta say it that way, because
because it is. It's a Christian
right,
perspective.
you're non-compromising with it. How would you tell your people how to relate to what's going on today? How would you tell your flock? I know you're the mobile ministry though, so mobilize your people and what you got to say. That's why we're here. That's your black thumb.
Well, that's
today.
why I'm here. That's
Yes,
why
sir.
we're having this conversation. Well, first and foremost, you hit it on the head. For some reason, those of European descent, those of fair-skinned people, white people, they have been conditioned. Why? Because they have been taught race, the whole race perspective, that the black race is not only are they better not only is the white race, they're here, we're there, they're better than we are, they're more intelligent, more civilized, but also something else was brought into that equation, that we're dangerous. Brown skinned people, black people are dangerous. They're criminal. We're apt to be dangerous. We're apt to be criminal. We're apt to be violent. And so since that's been ingrained by the media, been passed on from generation to generation by these fair-skinned families, we now are in a culture, in a society where police officers, white police officers, and sometimes even black ones, brown-skinned ones, they're going with these labels that have been put on black people. They're automatically thinking that we're violent.
And they're responding to it.
They're automatically thinking that we're dangerous. So they're coming up with guns drawn, not coming up to see how can I help you.
Right.
See, wouldn't that have been a better way to deal with this man whose car is broken down? How can I help you? No, but automatically you're violent. You're just a big black man. You're dangerous. We need to draw our weapons. So what do we do to address this? Number one, shows like this with Brother Hiram, where we get the truth out that race is a social construct. It's not real. That fair skin has no more value than brown skin.
Okay.
Fair skin isn't less dangerous. They're the civilized. They're not uncivilized. No, fair skinned people have the same tendencies that anybody else has. Some people are just, I don't care if you're white or black, fair skin or brown. Some people are just violent, and it doesn't matter what color that you are. But to label one group as the one that's violent, you got to look out for, that's ignorance. And the only way to really deal with that is we got to give the truth. We got to deal with this race issue. There's no such thing.
Well, you know what? That's a good point. You said we got to educate them. through the mediums and the platforms that we have accessible to ourselves.
That's right.
The Reporter Newspaper Online.com is one of those mediums, and this is where people are seeing you right now. He's going to be a recurring face in the place.
Looking forward to it.
He's going to be making it happen in Akron. You guys can connect with him. What's your Facebook page?
Right now, go to Ukali White 71.
Spell that.
At gmail.com. UKALI, Ukali, White, WHITE, the number 71, at gmail.com.
Hey, listen, man, we can go on days and days, man, but we can't get it all on one show. Listen, tell somebody, man, we make this thing happen every Tuesday. It's Black Thought, the Reporter Newspaper Online.com. Brother HIram Akeem, HIramAkeem.com. Listen, tell a friend the twins is acting up again. My man. Hey, y'all, film me before they kill me, y'all.
All right.